What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another episode of Steelers War Room. Our takeaways and reactions to the Steelers 21-18 loss to the 2-10 New England Patriots. That's the Steelers losing to two-win teams in a row. That means that they made both of those teams 3-win teams. That means the Steelers are now 7-6. That means the Steelers are no longer the 5 seed in the playoff picture at the moment. They slide out of the playoffs based on results to come this weekend. Not good news for the Trubisky-led Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's get into our 7 key takeaways. Number 1, Steelers' talent doesn't trump Patriots coaches. I heard a lot about that during the week. I heard a lot about the Steelers got this talent. The Patriots got great coaching, but they don't have the talent that the Steelers have. Steelers have got a lot of injuries as well. That does come into play. But quite honestly, it doesn't. It just doesn't trump that the Patriots coaches. It's not true. False narrative there. Number 2, I think we all understand why Kenny Pickett is QB1. Now, people can sit there and say, well, hang on, Mitch Trubisky did throw it around the yard, but he had 190 yards, 5.4 average, 1 TD, 1 interception, 22 from 35. He was sacked twice for 8 yards. He rushed for 30 yards on 8 carries, along with 15. The people out there that were all against Kenny Pickett, at least Kenny Pickett can improve. This is the ceiling for Mitch Trubisky. He's not it. He looked dangerous. He had the interception. There was another one that got called back, for a foul on Jackson. But there were also a couple of other very near misses. He sits in the pocket too long, and then the ball goes nowhere. It's just not good enough. And I know why Pickett's number 1. There's got to be a competition this week. Maybe it's Mason Rudolph. Maybe we get to see him. The second take is pass it to Pickens, please. I mean, quite honestly, he's an absolute playmaker. He was targeted six times in this game. He caught 5 of them for 19 yards. One of them was like a one-arm catch as he was crossing over the field just before he could get a first down. And honestly, he had a long 7 on the day. It's just not good enough in terms of how they're working Pickens into this offense. It's not just a quarterback thing. It's across the offense. Just please. Now, I actually had penalties didn't cost the Steelers right up until the Christian Kuntz penalty. That, I think, did hurt the Steelers. But this game, at least we could say it didn't come down to penalties. The Steelers averaged 7 on the season after last week. And then last week, they had 9 penalties in the game. We didn't see that this week, which was really, really cool. I didn't really want to see them clean that up. That was a real key to victory for me, if they could clean those penalties up. But they had 1 penalty for 5 yards. They still lost the game, though. So it's very hard to take any solace in that. But at least that shows some level of improvement. My next take is Nick Herbig is a bloody legend. Yes, you heard that right. He's a bloody legend. The guy came in, obviously, with Highsmith having the neck injury. Marcus Golden was inactive as well this week. And I really just love what I see from Herbig week in, week out. I feel disappointed he didn't get a sack. He did have a tackle for a loss. He led the team in tackles today. 7 tackles, 5 solo. That's pretty big from him. Fortunately, no quarterback hits. But, I just think Herbig's a real brewing backup, outside linebacker for this team. And I think it's just awesome to get him into the rotation. Number 6, and I could say the same thing about Minka. Elandon Roberts is a tough nut. I mean, Elandon Roberts had a groin injury. He was second on with Cam Hayward in tackles today with 6. And he had 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defense, 1 quarterback hit as well, 1 sack. A huge effort from a guy like that on a short turnaround. You can't not credit the effort there. The Steelers linebacking core, even though Michael Walker had the pick, which came from the hit as well from Roberts. Honestly, the linebacking core still needs a heap of work because of the injuries to Quan and Holcomb. It is what it is. Martinez got a bit of time. We'll be interested to look back on the tape and what that happened. But Elandon Roberts is a tough nut. You can't ask any more from guys like that. But that leads me into my other take, and I think it's a lot of the reason why the Steelers are not doing well or this season, and it's also why the Steelers have won the games they have. It's the usual suspects all the time. If we look at the top 5 performers on defense statistically and from what we saw in the game, it's Cam Hayward, 6 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit. We talked about Roberts. TJ Watt, 5 tackles, even though the jaw issue early on, 1 tackle for a loss. Then you've got Minka Fitzpatrick, 5 tackles, even though he's playing with a broken hand, 2 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Then Joey Porter, 4 tackles, 4 of those were solo, 1 pass defense. These are the same guys each and every week. And yes, you've got your star players, but the Steelers don't get as much from their bench as they should. Now, yes, Highsmith was out. Larry O just isn't playing as well this year. But the same goes for offense. Like, outside of Deontay, a little bit of Warren, a little bit of Najee, like, we're not seeing as much. How Pat Freiermuth, doesn't get targeted more than 10 times in this game. I thought that was just atrocious. He was targeted 7 times, 3 catches for 18 yards. Of course, Belichick schemed up on him. That's not disputing that. We don't want Trubisky throwing interceptions more than he already does. But honestly, the Steelers don't have the depth to win consistently in the NFL, and that's just abundantly clear. So look, this is how we feel off the Thursday Night Football. The good news is we got a whole heap of time before next Saturday's game against the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. There's a lot of time to fix and right wrongs. There's going to be a lot of introspection about this game. There should be a lot of change to come. Still, fans, it's just going to be a hard ride to close out the season. And, all we can do is sit there and cheer. Go Steelers.